I think you know my guest on Praying at the Speed of Love, episode 23, really, really, really well. Mark Nepo. 10 books, 12 books, 20 books, and you've read them all. I had Mark, 4 or 5, maybe even 6 times on my previous show, The Soul-Directed Life. Every time he had a new book, I said, ooh, I want to talk about that. Ooh, I want to talk about that. More Together Than Alone. The Endless Practice. Right? So this show is different. And although he does have a new book, and I want to read a little bit from this book, Drinking from the River of Light, The Life of Expression. You know how the subtitle often is what really tells you what the book's about? Yeah, The Life of Expression. The conversation is about the book, but is more about the underpinning, the mystical call that brought all these books to life through the life of expression. Because, as you know, if you've been listening, we talk about your prayer life. Not very many famous authors are asked to talk about their personal prayer life. How were you taught to pray as a child? How do you pray now? How did your prayer life evolve? These are not questions, conversations that I think authors have anywhere else. And that's why they're sort of knocking at my door saying, ooh, let's have this conversation. So in preparation for listening to a very rich, very beautiful conversation with Mark Nepo, I want to read you just a few things from this book that set my heart on fire. And this is probably the paragraph. I mean, I got so teary reading it. It's in a chapter that opens called Keeping the World Together. Listen to this. The role of the poet and the artist. Who's that? Artist. You might not say, oh, I'm a poet, but that word artist, that holds everybody. Everybody is an artist. Therefore, this sentence and this paragraph is about you. The role of the poet and the artist is to keep the world together. It is said that in ancient times, souls intent on living would reach deep into their wound and bring the fire living there into the light. Then they would wrestle with it and forge it into a tool that would help us live. In this way, when we do authentic inner work, we are forging tools for others to use. And just as the body needs healthy cells to stay alive, the universe needs healthy souls to keep going. In this way, when we do authentic inner work, we are sustaining a living universe. For when we care for the part, we care for the whole. Did you know that? Did you know that you are an artist? And therefore, your job is to keep the world together. And how are you going to do that? You're going to go into your wounds. In astrology terms, we would say, look at Chiron. Or the wounded healer, to use terminology you've probably heard from Henry Nouwen, Carl Jung. How many people talk about that? But it's Mark Nepo who puts it into such elegant and yet not so elegant that you can say, oh, those beautiful words are for the beautiful people, the real artists. No, the role of the poet and the artist is to keep the world together. Your job, your role in this lifetime is to keep the world together because the universe needs healthy souls to keep going. Listen to this exquisite conversation from Mark Nepo. And then be sure you click on the prayer bag because you will receive an excerpt from this book, Drinking from the River of Light. Well, we're going to drink from the river of light with our ears.